All right, one more, y'all. Just a second. You'd think this was important stuff, the way I record all this stuff, wouldn't you? Okay, here we go. Hello, everyone. I'm Dr. Roger Paul, and we have with us tonight Diane Paul, Pam Summers, and Jane, and Rodney, and Gary Letzenheiser. Is that right, Gary? Letzenheiser.
Wassenheiser.
Okay, so tonight we're going to continue our study of paper 46, the local system headquarters, and we're on section 2, paragraph 4, and that's on page 521 of the original book, the original Urantia book. This is all from the Urantia book. Believe it or not, we're not studying the encyclopedia. I know it sounds like it, but that's not what we study. Okay, let's get going here. Father, thank you for bringing us together tonight. We thank you for this wonderful opportunity to share this wonderful revelation with all the people of the world. We pray that they benefit from it. They share it with their friends and family, and it benefits them for their trip to paradise to see you after the mansion worlds. We thank you. We give you the praise in your son, Michael, Jesus of Nazareth. Amen.
Amen.
Okay. Let's get started. If my wonderful wife will take the first paragraph, we'll get started here.
Thank you. I can read it, honey, but I can't read the last line because of the pictures. Oh, okay. Good. Okay. Thank you. The transportation system is allied with the circulatory streams of energy. Allied. I'm going to start over. The transportation system is allied with the circulatory streams of energy movement. These main energy currents being located at 10-mile intervals. By adjustment of physical mechanisms, the material beings of the planet can proceed at a pace varying from 200 to 500 miles per hour. The transport birds fly at about 100 miles an hour. The air mechanisms, how do I say that? The air mechanisms of the material suns travel around 500 miles per hour. Material and early Urantia beings must utilize these mechanical means of transport, but spirit personalities proceed by liaison with the superior forces and spirit sources of energy.
Okay. This is mostly about the transportation systems, and these are physical transportation systems. Now, what they don't tell us is it a finite material or is it a Urantia material? They don't really say, do they? But since we know that all this stuff runs on a circulatory system of the energy circuits of the planet, and who controls that? The mechanical controllers, the physical controllers for the planet. So we're going to see kind of a picture of this in a little bit, but basically it's these circuits that everything travels on. So when you get there, they'll have transportation mechanisms, like carts or who knows what they'll look like. They may look like little cars or something that fly through the air. Well, we're not sure. But in these, you can go pretty fast, anywhere from 200 to 500 miles an hour. Okay. But the material sons and daughters, that's, like the Adams and Eves, they all traveled about 500 miles an hour in these things. But it's interesting here because they talk about the Urantia beings utilizing the mechanical means, but the spirit personalities proceed with, it says, superior forces of the spirit source of energy. So they fly through the air. Okay. They just fly along the energy thing so they don't run into each other, much like the angels do on the circuits of the universe. Okay. So that's kind of interesting, isn't it?
Roger.
Yeah.
I visualized these what is it? Every 10 miles?
Every 10 miles is like a energy station, right?
Isn't
Yeah.
it like perhaps a cell phone tower?
Tower. Yeah, right. Yeah. Could be like
And
that, Rodney. Yeah.
then I have a question. This transportation system is on Jerusalem, correct?
Right. This is on Jerusalem, the system
But
capital. Yeah.
not the satellite surrounding.
Yes, it would be the same thing. So when they describe this for Jerusalem, it would be the same for all the satellites, all 7 satellites and the sub-satellites, like the mansion worlds. You know, we think that the mansion worlds are just satellites, but they're not. They're sub-satellites because we surround on the mansion worlds the primary satellite, right? Number 1. All right. So you can think of the
Now,
mansion world as a sub-satellite. Yeah, Pam.
Do you know about the transport birds?
The transport birds, yes, they're just much like the what were they called? Help me, Rodney. Fandors? The Fandors. Huh?
Those are those things that when it's extinct,
Yeah, they're
they died
extinct
out.
now. Yeah, but
Huh?
during Adam and Eve's time, they were still on the planet. That was only 37,000 years ago. So sometime between 37,000 years ago and the time of Christ, sometime in that time range, the Fandors became extinct, and they probably became extinct because of the barbarian humans would kill them for food. All right. But when I say the transport birds, that's what I think about, because they're big enough to carry I think 2 human beings. So they were probably about the same for Morantia beings. Okay.
Oh,
And those travel at about 100 miles an hour. And they're very intelligent. They're animals, but they're very, very intelligent. But they still they're encircuited in this first 5 adjutant mind circuits, but they don't have worshiper wisdom. Okay, so when you think of a horse or a dog or a cat or anything like that, that's the type of beings that a passenger bird would be. But some of them are so intelligent, they have a limited language, so you can actually communicate with them and understand what they say. Isn't that nice?
amazing.
So yeah, the things we got, the amazing things we got to come in our future is just beyond human imagination, really. You know, I tell you all about this and I don't know anything about what I'm talking about, you know. So I know a little bit, but we got more things coming than I could ever explain to y'all. Okay. I'm just a pea brain like you guys are. Okay, Pam, you take the next one.
Jerusalem and its associated worlds are endowed with 10 standard visions of life characteristic of the architectural spheres of Nebadon. And since there is no organic evolution of Jerusalem, there are no struggle for existence, no survival fittest. Rather, is there a creative adaptation which foreshadows the beauty, harmony, and the perfection eternal of the central and divine. And in all this creative perfection, there is the most amazing intermingling and of bunch of life artistically contrasted by the celestial artisans and their fellows.
Okay, so all these worlds are all architectural spheres. Okay, they're created. And for each architectural sphere, some of them take a million years to create. So that's a lot of work to create an architectural sphere. It's just not something that pops up into existence. Okay. But all the satellites surrounding, like Jerusalem, are all architectural spheres. So they would have the same sort of encircuited electrical system, water system, heating, air, light system, everything as same as Jerusalem, same as all the way up to Salvington. Okay, so there's not any planets that are utilized in the ascension plan through these training worlds. Okay, Now, that does not mean we won't be able to go out to normal planets on assignments and things like that. That's going to happen. You can count on that. But all of the spheres that we will be dwelling on our ascension plan will all be architectural spheres, and they will all be as close to perfect worlds as you could ever imagine. So our concept from the Bible of heaven is really the mansion worlds, not paradise. Okay. And it's important to understand that. And there's something I want to mention, Gary, before I forget it. Yeah, this is off the subject tonight, but I went out to our main site for our YouTube videos today, and we have 11 videos, and it's the origin of the universe. And we had that at Rodney's house back in 2013. And you had asked about, redoing the forward and stuff. Well, there's the forward and all those videos too. But what I was going to suggest, and for all those who have not ever listened to these, the video on it is horrible, because we just set up video cameras. We didn't have anybody watching the video cameras or anything like that. So some of it's out of focus, some of it's not great. I was a big fat guy back then. I was about 260 pounds. So I looked different, had a beard. But anyway, what I wanted to mention is I sit and watch the first one all the way through, an hour and 38 minutes, I think. And I realized a lot of the stuff you were asking about, maybe we should go back through, is in those first 11 origins of the universe presentations. Okay. So you can either hit the link on our page to go to the YouTube channel, or actually, I believe there's links on the first page for those origin of the universe things too. Another thing I wanted to mention, and I wanted to show this to everyone. So let me bring up our website real quick. Here we go. Okay, and stop the share. I'm going to reshare the right screen, which is this one right here. Okay. And what I wanted to show y'all is this. I'm going to move this one over a little bit so I can see. Okay, what I wanted to show y'all is this. On our main web page, this is just the fifth epical, Atlanta Urantia study groups exactly like it. Under all the videos, doesn't matter what video it is. I'm going to go down here. Let me see if I got these. No, this is just starts at the forward, not the other one, but I think there's a link in here for the first ones. You can go out to the YouTube page down here. It says channels and YouTube papers. You see under YouTube papers, Universe Reality 1. Can you see that?
Yeah.
Yes.
It turns red. If you click on that, it will take you out to the YouTube paper for the Universe Reality 1. And we did 11 of these presentations. And like I said, some of the video is not great, but you can hear it well. So the presentation is still good. But I wanted to show y'all something else. Under anywhere where we have a video like this, there's also a link for what it says channel. You see that? Channels?
Mm-hmm.
If you click on that channel, it will take you out to Vimeo to that channel. Okay. And under the channel is every single video for every single paper having to do with that channel. And this particular one is the forward. And you'll see down here at the bottom, there's 5 different sections of this. So if you go to a different page, it'll show you more videos, right? But every video that we have done is under these channels, and there's a link under every video we do for the channels. You can watch it online. Like I could watch this. This is last Tuesday's video, right? I could click it here and watch it online and make it full screen, watch it right there. But if I wanted to, let me show you this. If I wanted to, I could go down here. It says UB paper 46 under the channels. You see that? Now, if I click on that, it's going to take me to every video I have ever done on paper 46. And that includes all the way back to 2011. So you can find any video we've done. See, like this one's 2015. If we go back, you can see every time we presented this paper under the channel. And I've tried to put under each channel, each paper's got a channel, and under the channel are all the videos for that particular paper. Make sense? Too complicated? Everybody understand? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So I wanted to point that out to everyone so that you know how to find things. Now you can also find it under the list on the side, or you can find it under the list on the channels themselves, or you can just go to our YouTube page, and every single video is out there on the YouTube pages too. So
Pretty amazing.
Yeah. I think there's almost 600 videos on YouTube now, just by himself. And there's another 600 on Vimeo, if I remember correctly. So, but they're the same videos, they're just on a different format, right? It's easier to find them there than it is on Facebook, because after a couple months, they disappear on Facebook, right?
Mhm.
They're on your page for a couple months, and then they're gone. Okay. Let's keep going. Next one. Jane, would you take the next one, please?
Jerusalem is indeed a foretaste of paradisiacal glory and grandeur, but you can never hope to gain an adequate idea of these glorious architectural worlds by any attempted description. There is so little that can be compared with aught on your world, and even then the things of Jerusalem so transcend the things of Urantia that the comparison is almost grotesque. Until you actually arrive on Jerusalem, you can hardly entertain anything like a true concept of the heavenly worlds. But that is not so long a time. In the future, when your coming experience on the system capital is compared with your sometime arrival on the more remote training spheres of the universe, the super universe, and of Havona.
So just get ready for your mind to be blown, right? Because it's nothing like, they call our description compared to our world would be grotesque. So imagine a world that is thousands of times more beautiful, more things to see and do than our world. That's what the mansion worlds and the world's going to all the way up to Havona will be. Okay, Rodney, your turn.
The manufacturing or laboratory sector of Jerusalem is an extensive domain, one which Urantians would hardly recognize since it has no smoking chimneys. Nevertheless, there is an intricate material economy associated with these special worlds, and there is a perfection of mechanical technique and physical achievement which would astonish and even awe your most experienced chemists and inventors. Pause to consider that this first world of detention in the paradise journey is far more material than spiritual. Throughout your stay on Jerusalem and its transition worlds, you are far nearer your earth life of material things than your later life of advancing spirit existence.
Okay, so think of Elon Musk and all his mechanical things to make things. Multiply that by 1,000 times, and that's probably what these manufacturing places look like, right? They make anything you could possibly want automatically for you. Okay.
To me,
So
Sounds like there's definitely an economy there.
Yeah, there is, but we don't need money, right? There's no, you don't get paid for doing things. If you want something, you probably request it and it just, they get it for you, right? But there's definitely a physical mechanical existence for things that human beings require. Okay, especially if this life coming is just a step up from what we have here, right? Because we're used to what? Material things. But as we go up higher and higher, things become more Urantia and more spiritual. And then the existence of life itself changes along with that. Okay, so you require less material things. All right, it probably takes a huge jump in mindset to go from a planet that's all material like ours is to go to a planet where your needs are all provided for you. There's no hunger, there's no thirst, there's no disease and things like that, because it'll be totally unique to us and different, right? All right. And it's that way all the way to paradise. Okay. Can't wait to get to paradise. Okay, here we go. Gary, you're next.
Mount
Seraph. Seraph.
Mount
Like
Seraph
like
is the
seraphim.
highest. Ready? Go ahead.
Yeah.
Mount Seraph is the highest elevation on Jerusalem, almost 15,000 feet, and is the point of departure for all transport seraphim. Numerous mechanical developments are used in providing initial energy for escaping the planetary gravity and overcoming the air resistance. A seraphic transport departs every 3 seconds of Urantia time throughout the light period and sometimes far into the recession. I'm assuming they're meaning night.
Yeah.
The transporters take off at about 25 standard miles per second on Urantia time and do not attain standard velocity until they are over 2,000 miles away from Jerusalem.
Okay, so y'all think about this. They're talking about on Mount Seraph on Jerusalem. Okay, the highest point on the planet. And this is where all the transport seraphim take off constantly, all the time. Now, if we have a archangel circuit that comes to this planet, okay, you with me still?
Mm-hmm.
There's a station here somewhere on this planet where seraphim take off from. This is how we leave the planet. In other words, when you die, your soul is taken by your seraphim, and the pair of your seraphim has to leave the planet just like these transport seraphim do. Okay, so somewhere on this planet is what? A transport seraphim departure point. Okay,
Is there only one?
probably so, because they say it's at the spiritual pole of the planet, wherever that is. Okay, now because of that, the point I want to make is this: we have never seen a physical structure whatsoever that would indicate that is what this is, right? So what do you think we have on this planet? We have a Urantia structure, right? Because it's outside our range of sight. You with me?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So somewhere on this planet is a Urantia structure that allows seraphim to take off. And of course, all the Urantia beings and probably the midwayers can all see these. Okay, so they know exactly where they are. It's just the human beings can't. And it's a good thing, because if human beings knew where it was, what would we do?
Destroy it.
We would try to go destroy it, mess it up, do something. Okay, so it's pretty intelligent, the fact that these things are outside our range of sight. but they're still as real as if the physical things on the planet. So these transport seraphim take off every 3 seconds, and they do not really shoot to where they're going until they're over 2,000 miles away from the planet itself, because when they get up to speed, they're gone. I mean, there's, no stopping them. And they all travel on the circuits of the universe. And this is important because if they didn't, what would they do? They'd run into each other, right?
It's organized.
It's organized. Yeah, there's a plan for everything.
Roger.
Yeah, Rodney. Yeah.
I'm just curious. Is the Sea of Glass on Mount Seraph?
It sounds like it is.
It must be, huh?
It must be, because they say that the seraphim come and go to where? The Sea of Glass.
And then I've got another question. Do all planets like our planet? Perhaps we have a crystal similar.
I doubt it, Rodney. Let me tell you why. Because it sounds like to me the way they describe the Sea of Glass is it's a total physical mechanism, right?
Correct.
So if that's the case, then we would be able to see it. Okay, because the reason I'm using this telling you this is this: the Sporangia who interact with us and everything, they can see the crystal on the planet. So that's why it makes me think and they're physical beings, just like mortals. So if they can see it, then probably it's a physical phenomena on the mansion worlds. Okay.
Yes.
And we have never found a sea of glass on this planet, to my knowledge. Now, I say to my knowledge, it could be under one of the ice caps that we don't know about.
Under ice.
It could be. We don't know for sure, but we have never found it. Let me put it that way.
Okay.
But that's very much a possibility. What was it? Admiral Byrd swears that there was a whole mini universe underneath one of the poles. That could be where it's at. We don't know, right? So, it depends on who you want to believe and who you want to put your stock into or not. Okay. This is an interesting picture. All right, this is a picture. It says Mount Seraph is the highest elevation on Jerusalem. The seraphic transport departs every 3 seconds of Urantia time during the light period. And in order for these seraphim to take off, notice what it says here. They have to have 10 mechanical controllers and 1,000 energy transmitters for one seraphim to take off.
Wow.
That's a lot of personnel, is it not?
I bet you those aren't energizers.
Yeah. Talk about the Energizer bunnies. Really. Okay, so this is kind of a picture of that, and this is a kind of a representation of Mount Seraph or the Sea of Glass. Okay. Now, this is another interesting slide because it's going to explain it a little bit more to us here. Diane, I think you're up again, dear.
Transports arrive on the crystal field, the so-called Sea of Glass. Around this area are the receiving stations for the various orders of beings who traverse space by seraphic transport. Near the polar crystal receiving station for student visitors, you may ascend the pearly observatory and view the immense relief map of the entire headquarters planet.
Okay.
You're muted.
This next picture is a picture of exactly what they described to us. Okay. And here is, it's hard to see because it's small. You can download the slides and make this as big as you'd like to. But you can see here, it says Mount Seraph down here. And here is the Pearly Observatory. You see this thing over here? How tall it is? So you can
Mhm.
go up the Pearly Observatory and watch the transport seraphim take off from this area here, the Sea of Glass. Okay. And then this is, let's see, let me change the picture here. I'm having a hard time reading. Receiving station for space traversers. So they have space traverser receiving stations right at the edge all the way around the Sea of Glass. And why would they have receiving stations around the Sea of Glass? Think about this.
Because it's like terminals,
It's like
airport terminals.
terminals, and when these guardian seraphim land on the Sea of Glass, you are, if you were not a Marancha or spiritual being, if you arrive here from being a mortal, they have to put you back in your body. Make sense?
Mm.
So in these receiving stations, they can transport your essence or your being back into a body if that is necessary. Okay. Very
And this is
technical.
where your family comes to meet you.
No, it's not,
No?
because this is Jerusalem. Okay. They meet you on the mansion worlds, what they call the retention world, right? Because you can't leave until you get certified to leave there. All right. But these are not the same as the resurrection halls, because the resurrections hall would be where you would get your first investment into a Urantia body. A Marantia body. I call it a Urantia body. A Marantia body, right? And by the time you get to transport in one of these seraphim, you may not need to be disembodied as a Marancha being. They don't tell us that exactly. Okay. But they have these receiving stations, so it can receive beings like that are resurrected. If you skip over all the mansion worlds and you wind up waking up on Jerusalem because you've gone past all the mansion worlds, this is where they would resurrect you.
Don't they also allow us to go as visitors, as observers?
That's exactly right. So this may be where you're knocked out as a Marancha person because you're not awake when they transport you, right? And this may be where you awaken from your sleep when you get transported to Jerusalem, right? For the visits. Got to go somewhere. All right. And this tower, they're talking about the Pearly Tower here. Your friends and family can go up the Pearly Tower and watch you land just like you're at the airport. Right. Right. All right. Another thing we have to look forward to. Let me read the top of this for y'all too. So, this is so small. Transports arrive on the crystal field, the so-called Sea of Glass. Around this area are the receiving stations for the various orders of beings who traverse space. Some of them have to be disembodied, probably, some of them not. By seraphic transport near the polar crystal, receiving stations for student visitors who may ascend the Pearly Observatory to view it. Right? They got everything figured out. It's pretty slick.
Roger,
Yeah.
I have a question about the polar part.
Yeah.
There is no ice on Jerusalem.
No, there's no
For them
water
to
to make
be
it. Yeah, well, there's water, but there's no frozen precipitation. There's no snow, no ice, anything like that.
For them
Right.
to be using the word polar means the center where it spins.
Well, it's the spiritual pole, they say, but it's probably, we only know about 3 types of energy, don't we? And so this is probably where the magnetic pole is too, right? For the planet.
So there would be 2.
Yeah,
Like
and there would be, it's probably the pole for the physical energy of the planet too. You see what I'm saying? So everything would emanate out of the top or the pole and come back in through the bottom, just like paradise.
It's like Earth.
It's like Earth. Yeah. Well, it's interesting because I was talking today, listen to me, when we had the meeting in your house, Rodney, I was talking about how time begins at the top of paradise, right?
Hmm.
Everything comes out of paradise, rotates around the 7 super universes and comes back in the bottom, right? And time does that. But an interesting point is that I made in this video. That's why you need to watch them, Gary, because it's got a lot of good tidbits of information. The interesting thing is that there is no time and space in paradise in Havana,
Correct.
right? So why does time come from the top of paradise?
It's paradise trash. It's
Paradise.
I
There's
don't know.
always a mystery, isn't there? And space originates in paradise. There would be no finite planets if it wasn't for paradise, because all matter comes from paradise, right? Even the respiration of the universe, which goes out 1 billion years and comes back, originates where?
Paradise.
Yeah.
It's
So
interesting.
the Jerusalem works pretty much the same way, probably for the electronic areas of it, the circuits, the magnetic poles, and the other 27 types of energy that we have not discovered that they use on these planets, right? Probably a package deal, you know? Okay, let's go on to the next one. Let's see. Did you read there? Okay, Pam, would you take this one?
Me?
Yes,
Yeah.
please.
Super Universe and Paradise Havana broadcasts are received on Jerusalem in Liaison, Salvington, and by a technique involving a crystal, sea of glass. In addition to provisions for the reception of these extra Nebadon communications, there are 3 distinct groups of receiving stations. These separate but triangular groups of stations are adjusted.
Tricircular groups.
Oh, thank you.
Mhm.
Tricircular groups of stations are adjusted to the reception of broadcasts from the local worlds, from the constellation headquarters, and from the capital universe. All these broadcasts are automatically displayed so as to be discernible by all types of beings present in the central broadcast amphitheater of all preoccupations or an ascent portal on Jerusalem. None is more engaging and engrossing than that of listening in on the never-ending stream of universe space reports.
Okay, when you go to a restaurant and they got all these sports on a dozen screens in the room?
Yeah.
That's what they're talking about here. We're going to have dozens and dozens of screens that we can listen and watch the broadcasts from not only Paradise and Havana, the super universe, and the local universe of Nebadon. That's our local universe. And Salvington will get broadcast from there, but also from the local constellations and the planets. Now, let me tell you a little secret that you may not pick up in this paragraph. Have any of y'all ever seen a local planet broadcast from Jerusalem?
No.
No,
Are you sure?
pretty positive.
I'm pretty positive too. So what does that tell us? Think about it. That means we're still in quarantine.
Correct.
Okay.
Oh my gosh.
If we started seeing the Jerusalem broadcast to the planets, which happens, if we started seeing that again, that would mean that the
Quarantine
rebellion, the Lucifer rebellion would have been adjudicated and quarantine had been lifted on this planet. Okay. So when you hear other Urantians or people that's read the book tell you, but they think that the rebellion is over. Yes, the rebellion is over, but adjudication has not finished. Because if the adjudication had finished, we should be able to see what?
The broadcast.
Yes.
And I
Right?
think
That
that
ex that
the
explains
global
everything, Roger. That explains everything. That's why we don't see anything on channel 2.
And I got news for you, Gary. You never see anything on CNN, right? I had to throw that in. All right. So those broadcasts are not coming through because we're still in quarantine, and that we can assume that from this paragraph, right? Because if you go to Jerusalem, they receive broadcasts from Paradise Savona. They receive broadcasts from the local universe. We would get broadcasts from Michael may get on there, once a week and say, hi, all my children. This is what's going on in your local universe. Next week, we're going to have another 30 planets have evolved to the point of where we're going to put people on them, whatever. And then we have the constellation headquarters. So the most highs of the constellation that makes so many decisions for the systems, they would have their own broadcasts. And then, of course, the planetary broadcasts. So if we could see all of these things, we would be informed on everything that's going, not only in our local universe, but on the super universe level and the Paradise Havona level. Make sense? So you can see why all these beings want to go sit around this stuff and watch it because it informs them of what's going on in the universe that we've been deprived of our whole lives.
correct.
Make sense?
Roger.
Yeah.
And this is important. Even Jesus, he would go to the local caravan shop
Yeah.
to
Find
hear
out what's
the-
going on. Yeah. Yeah. Remember him always going to find out what the world news was,
Correct.
from the caravan. All right. So see, y'all have been enlightened again tonight. Somehow I always manage to give you one little seed of information, don't I? Okay. Was it worth coming? Sure. Okay, here we go. Jane, take yours.
This Jerusalem broadcast receiving station is encircled by an enormous amphitheater constructed of scintillating materials largely unknown on Urantia and seating over 5 million beings.
Billion.
Sorry, did I make a
Yeah.
mistake?
Yeah.
5 billion beings.
True.
Material and Morontia, besides accommodating innumerable spirit personalities. It is the favorite diversion for all Jerusalem to spend their leisure at the broadcast station, there to learn of the welfare and state of the universe. And this is the only planetary activity which is not slowed down during the recession of light.
So if you can't sleep, you can get up and go to this place and sit all night and watch what's going on in the universe. You can,
They're
you can
still
become,
interested in politics.
yes. Well, you
Wonder
can
where
go.
Joe Biden would be there.
I am not going to comment.
I just thought I'd open the door.
I think you have to have a brain still there, don't you? Anyway, let's keep moving. So all the personalities of Jerusalem go there to spend time occasionally and get entertained on what is going on in the universe, right? All right. The thing about that last comment, it's not Joe's fault. We all get old and lose our minds. So, okay, here we go. Rodney, would you take the next one?
Yes. At this broadcast receiving amphitheater, the Salvington messages are coming in continuously. Nearby, the essential word of the Most High Constellation Fathers is received at least once a day. Periodically, the regular and special broadcast of Eversa are relayed through Salvington. And when Paradise messages are in reception, the entire population is assembled around the sea of glass, and the Eversa friends add the reflectivity phenomena to the technique of the Paradise broadcast so that everything heard becomes visible. And it is in this manner that continual foretaste of advancing beauty and grandeur are afforded the mortal survivors as they journey inward on the eternal adventure.
Okay, so y'all remember these broadcasts are not like TV where you got broadcasters each parroting each other, saying the same thing over and over again. So if you get one channel in this broadcast, you won't have another channel where you have somebody saying the same thing and the next one saying the same thing and the next one, plus the fact it's all true, right? Makes a difference. So yeah, big difference. Okay, let's see here.
Its interest in everything heard becomes visible.
Heard becomes visible, so you can see the person making the broadcast or the being, and
Oh.
probably just like TV, they play out a lot of what they're talking about. You know, you can actually see things happening. Okay, Gary, would you take the next one, please?
The Jerusalem sending station is located at the opposite pole of the sphere. All broadcasts to the individual worlds are relayed from the system capitals except the micro messages, which sometimes go directly to their destinations over the Archangel circuit.
Okay, remember we have a station on the planet here of archangels, right?
Mhm.
They have their own circuit. How do you think we stayed the local beings that control this planet has stayed informed all these years since we've been in quarantine?
Through that circuit.
Through that circuit, through the Archangel circuit. So we're in quarantine, but we're not completely cut off. They still can communicate back and forth with us.
But is it also, like I'm imagining, is it also that we're in quarantine, we don't see what's going on,
We
but they
don't.
can see everything that we're doing here?
Exactly. That's exactly right, Jane. Now, remember, it's not just us, it's 36 other planets are the same exact way, right?
Mhm.
So when they lift the quarantine, they will lift the quarantine on the other 36 planets at the same time, right? Because it was due to the rebellion that it was severed. Okay. Okay, let's see. The residential administrative areas. Let me take a quick look at something now. Okay. All right, let's go ahead and take this first one. Diane, will you take this one? We still got about 10 minutes. I was looking to see if we got enough to cover yet. So
For residential and administrative areas, considerable portions of Jerusalem are assigned as residential areas, while other portions of the system capital are given over to the necessary administrative functions involving the supervision of the affairs of 619 inhabited spheres, 56 transitional culture worlds, and the system capital itself. On Jerusalem and in Nebadon, these arrangements are designated as follows. 1. The circles, the non-native residential areas. 2. The squares. The system executive administrative areas. 3. The rectangulars. The rendezvous of the lower native life. 4. The triangles. The local or Jerusalem administrative areas.
Okay. Okay, so y'all can imagine that for every single planet, every single sphere that we're going to go to, there's residential areas on them, all of them. Okay, and this is the way they organize those residential, administrative, and other places for people to live. I want to show a picture here. I'm gonna have to go through some slides. Let me see how far down it is on my other one because I got the full thing here. Okay. A way to get a concept of this is the circles. And let me go down here for a minute. Oops. I hit something, a link there. This is a picture of what's called the Jerusalem circles. Okay. And the circles are part of the residential area. Okay. And notice there are, in this picture, there is 7 different circles here. You see that? Each circle has a different type of being or residence of the planet. Okay. And what's interesting is when we talk about the mansion worlds, okay, the reason they call it the mansion worlds is because these circles represent aggregations of mansions. Okay. So these, in other words, aggregations, for instance, on this rim of this circle, there might be 1 billion residents. Okay. Because these circles are humongous beyond our imagination. Okay. As these circles go down, you have different types of resident beings that are on the planet. Okay. And we're going to go through some of these so you'll get a pretty good idea. But I wanted to show you this picture so you get it in your mind that these circles, the top rim of the circle may be even with the ground. I don't know. They don't explain that to us. And then all the rest of the circles go down into the planet. You see what I'm saying? Like an apartment almost. But they're not really like apartments because each one of these rings, let's see if I can get my mouse back here. Each one of these rings inside the circle is huge, so huge you just can't imagine. So it might take you 3 days to take this bottom ring and walk all the way around it. You follow me? So yeah, you got to get that idea. And then as you go down, you have different types of beings that live in those occupied spaces. You follow me? So this ring of this circle, when they say mansion worlds, this wouldn't be like an apartment building where everything, you just had residents one right after another, because they talk about the mansion worlds actually being mansions. So instead, this ring would be representative of how they're laid out in a certain plan in a circle. Okay. And then the next level would be down lower. And if you went down, however deep it is, then you'd have another, and then another, and another. Now keep something in mind. Excuse me. Pardon me. Keep something in mind. All these mansions and all these residents don't have what? Roofs.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's why they are offset as circles, because if it was not that case, the second and third row down here would have to have a roof, wouldn't it? But they don't. So it's hard to get a good idea of what they're talking about here,
It
but you
could be,
can get, huh?
we could imagine it very grotesquely, as they said before, grotesquely over here. But you
Yeah.
can imagine, say, the Grand Canyon,
Uh-huh.
100,000 million more space,
Right.
how deep and grand and wide and how well
Yeah. Well, if you took,
constructed it could be.
yeah, well, if you took levels of that, Jane, that
Mm,
would be what we're talking about here, right? If
yeah.
each one was down a little bit further, it'd be a wide open space above it because they have no roofs, right? But from the top, if you went to the edge, you could observe over the edge the next circle and probably all the circles all the way down.
That is a interesting phenomenon.
It
If you
is.
stop and think about it, instead of consider them just levels and they have to go down one level, if you
Yeah.
consider them in a spiral shape, okay, you would
Uh-huh.
have, you could just walk and you could go from the bottom to the top and vice versa.
Yeah.
And also, if you just look over the side, you can see just about everything.
Yeah.
That is, think about it,
Yeah. Yeah. That may be the way it is. You might start at the top and you start walking, and as you start walking, you eventually go down and down and down and down and down. I don't
Roger,
know. Yeah.
do they talk about the distance, the diameter?
Oh yeah, we're going to get into that. That's I wanted to mention this before we quit for tonight because I wanted y'all to get an idea of how far down like this is an example. This is coming up yet, and it tells us which circle and who is in which circle. Okay. And you'll notice as you go down through these, you have the angels, the controllers, and in circle number 5 here, what do you have? Ascending
Ascending
mortal. Right.
Because I
Yeah.
envision, unless they tell us the diameter, perhaps that upper largest diameter is the diameter of the United States.
Yeah. We don't know for
Not
sure.
Canada.
Well, it gives us a little bit of information about it, and we'll have to wait till next time because I can't remember off the top of my head. All these slides we're going through tonight, it's been a long time since I taught this, so I don't have it off the top of my head. And believe it or not, I got so engrossed in listening to our old meeting today, I didn't study the slides for tonight. And I do that sometimes, but most of the times I study the slides ahead of time. But I didn't for tonight because I know I've been through this so many times. As soon as I read the slide, I recognize it and remember what I had said about it. So, but I think they give us, I think if I remember correctly, they give us some idea of the size of these.
It's okay.
But we'll have to get to it. We'll go back up as we go down through it. It'll come up. Okay.
I remember this is interesting paper.
Yeah, it really is. It's one of my favorite papers. Because
There
it's
is
where
a
we're
lot
going.
of work available there, Roger.
Lot. Yeah, there is. Okay, so we're at 6:59, so we need to knock off for tonight. Need to shut up, stop talking. Somebody say a prayer for us. Let's see who we got to pray tonight. Oh, Rodney, would you like to close us in a prayer?
I would like to, but I'm not in a spiritual frame of mind.
That's fine. That's fine. How about you, Pam? Would you like to close us in a prayer tonight?
Dear Heavenly Father, we thank you so much for divine wisdom that opens up our minds and our hearts, gives us so much food for thought, and we ask that you to be able to share it with others who are thirsty for this information. Thank you so much. Say this in the name of Christ Michael, Jesus, Son of.
Okay, thank you. And everybody that's watching us at home and everything, we thank you for coming. Please come see us again. Let me stop the video down here. I hope I got this recorded tonight.
Y'all come back now, you hear?
Yeah.